Hi everyone, back today with another video. This is just a short one on a couple of things I'm using to make gold. It's like another routine, but also as a reminder that with the new patch coming out in preparation for season 2, some things are going to disappear in your currency tab, and now is a really good time to be spending those things so you can make the most gold possible out of them. And let me know if I've missed anything in the comments. Just before we get into that, just a quick look inside my Regent bank to show you some of the things that I've been stockpiling. The time to stockpile is over. There are still some things you could get now that are probably a little bit cheaper than they're going to be in the future, at least in the immediate future. But it's probably too late if you want to be getting large piles of things on the cheaper discount like I have been doing over the last little bit. There's still a couple of deals if you log on at the right time of the day. Like sometimes you can still pick up storm dust, at least on my server, the bronze level storm dust for 9 gold each. But you need to be really quick to get those. So just so everybody can see what I have been stockpiling in here. Things have been peaking during the high demand times, so like in the evenings when most people are logging on. And I've seen the bronze level storm dust go for as much as 17 to 20 gold a piece. So if that's indicative of the price surge we're going to see, there's still a little bit of wiggle room in there. But you definitely you want to be very tactful of when you're buying large amounts of things right now. So I'm just going to run this follower dungeon. The cost of the bolts are getting quite expensive. The weaver cloth bolts are getting quite expensive. So I'm starting to collect more of those. I'm selling anything that isn't gold level, except for the bolts. I'm keeping all levels of the bolts. But the raw cloth I'm still selling, and they're starting to make a lot of profit. So if you've stepped away from this particular farm because it wasn't doing very well for a little bit there, it wasn't making a lot of gold. I think we were getting capped at about 15,000 gold before you got locked out, which isn't terrible. But at one point, it was making 30,000, almost 40,000 gold. But I think the time to do this gold run is coming. I think the prices still have a little bit of upward trajectory. I think we could see the bolts go back up to 40 gold a piece, and that would indicate that this run until lockout, at least for the first room. I know you can do the second room, but I only ever do the first room. At least until lockout could make you about 30 to 40,000 gold in the future. So you could stockpile these things now. I'm selling them now so I can use the gold now to increase what I have in my Regent bank in terms of my stockpiling ability. But holding on to it, if you already have the kind of the gold means to do that, holding on to it probably equal higher turnover in the future. You'll probably sell those things for more as the new season starts. So, in terms of things you should be looking in your currencies for using before they get reset, it's definitely the undercoins. Check to see how many undercoins you have and buy the undercoin bag if you have 500 or more. The undercoins, I don't know if they're being removed, but I can be pretty sure they're going to be reset. So make sure you've spent those, even if you're not listing the bags on the auction house just yet, even if you decide to hold on to those things, because I'm assuming if you haven't checked in your undercoins, you either didn't know you had them or you were holding on to them for something. So just keep the resources you collect out of that if you were holding on to something, but I think the safest bet is to spend those now. Valor stones are going to be reset, so make sure you've upgraded all of your gear as much as you possibly can and done all of your crafting and just everything you can to use those before they get reset. I don't know if Blizzard's going to do a gold exchange for that, even a few silver exchange. I have no idea. It would be nice if they did. But for those of us who have run out of ways to use our Valor, but if you've got ways, use it. I have been hoarding the globs of wax. I know some people are concerned that Blizzard may remove its ability to collect Valor when you hand them in. At the moment, you hand in 5 and you get 5 Valor. So I think worst case scenario is yes, they remove the Valor, but I don't see why they would remove the ability to hand in those globs of wax for the gold boxes and other things, because it would remove a pretty essential storyline from the game. So even if it doesn't have the Valor option in the future, it will still have the gold option. So I don't think it'll be a massive loss if you're collecting those and holding on to them. Conquest and bloody tokens will be reset. So make sure if you're doing anything in war mode or doing any PvP, make sure you go and check those vendors and see if there's anything you can get there. In terms of the bloody coins, at least from my perspective, I don't do a lot of PvP except when it's accidental PvP. I've been buying the items, the bloodstone items, and disenchanting them, which has a high gold value when I do get those gold level disenchantment in materials out of that. But even if you don't have an enchanter, you can buy the more expensive ones and vendor them for, some of them range for 74 gold to 150, depending on the one you buy. And it's not a lot of gold, but it's better than all of that gold going in a hole because you just didn't spend it in time. So go see what you've got there and whether or not you've got anything to spend. The same for the conquest. If you're not looking to deliberately to gear yourself up for PvP, if there's no use for those for you, look and see what you can buy and vendor or disenchant for profit. So the restored coffer keys and coffer keys, basically, they're being reset as well. So if you were hoarding those like I was, bummer. Try to use them in bountifuls if you've got some bountifuls you need to do. Don't forget to, if you do that, to make sure you spend your undercoins before the reset. But I just don't think there's another way to get anything out of those coffer keys. If you've got an idea that isn't actually completing the bountiful delve, let me know. I don't think there's any gold exchange value proposed for those things. I'm not sure what's happening with crests. I imagine the weathered crests, the one that you get just from doing everything, from flying through the things that are just floating in the air and completing quests and tasks and things like that. I think there's a good chance that those ones could be reset. I could be wrong if somebody has some information there. But if you're trying to use your Valor, trying to use up as much of your Valor as possible, you will use a lot of those crests at the same time to give that the best upgrade you possibly can. So just go and check that out. Another thing you could potentially use your Valor Stones and Crest for is transmog gear. If you're looking to collect everything, now is a relatively good time to be using those resources that way. I think the optimal window for that has passed because the materials and the regents on the auction house are becoming more expensive to make these things. If you're loaded with gold, it's an option there, making transmog. Or if you just really want to collect the transmog, and it's going to be reset anyway, so go and have a look. So now that we've gotten through all of that and some of those changes there, and feel free to drop in the comments if I'm wrong. Somebody mentioned earlier that they might remove the enchanted crests from enchanters. I think even if they do remove that as an option for enchanters, there's still a lot of gold to be made out of making the actual enchants. So I wouldn't change the way I'm stockpiling my enchanting materials because of this change. You might have noticed there's been a bit of a delay in between releasing videos, and now I've had a lot of trouble with WoW. For some reason, when I open it, it nerfs my internet to like a ridiculous point. It just hogs all of the bandwidth. So I've had to delete it and reinstall it. So hopefully that fixes the problem. If you've had that problem before where your internet runs fine, but then you open WoW and it hogs everything, and believe me, I have a very fast internet plan, so we should not be doing that. If you've had that problem and you've come across a fix, let me know in the comments because this thing is driving me nuts. Back to the video. I go on a bit of a tangent there with my squirrel brain. I've been doing the Sparks of War quest still. It gives a lot of bloody tokens and they can be exchanged for a fair amount of gold for just going and doing real world content in WoW. And it's a good way to break up some other things. I don't like ringing deeps as a zone. I really don't like going into it. I don't like being there. It's just hard to navigate. I don't enjoy it. I much prefer the Spiderland. So I tend to try and do my waxy glob farming in Spiderland because that's just, I prefer it there. I don't know why. It's just a preference. And I only come to ringing deeps when it's necessary, when the quest for the Sparks of War makes me. So I wouldn't encourage you to try and farm the globs of wax in the ringing deeps. I think the most efficient route is in Spiderland. You can check out my other videos there. So if it's something you're thinking about doing, go and do that. The other thing I got sidetracked with here is the machine quest. It doesn't give you a lot of gold at all, but I did notice that you can get a mount from it, which I was unaware of until recently. I haven't got the mount, but I figure while I'm there, I'll do the machine quest anyway. So if you're looking at collecting mounts, it's worth giving that a go because it takes 15 minutes, I think, to do. So that's really all for this video. There's not much else to say that I haven't already said before in terms of goal making routines. If you're interested in any of those or what I'm doing, go and check that out in other videos I have on my channel. There's a lot there. There's pretty much something for everybody, I think. So if you're interested specifically in that, go and have a look. These are just the updates on the things I'm doing, any changes I've noticed with those. So feel free to drop a comment and subscribe if you found this helpful. It's free for you. It's super helpful for me. And the channel, the algorithm really likes it. That's all for this video today, and as always, remember, girls don't play WoW.